Hello everyone, Sheek here with another Transformers review, and today I will be reviewing the Zeta Bruticon Blitzkrieg, or aka Onslaught. Anyway, here we have him in his weird extended flatbed truck mode, which this is not included in the instructions, and I'm sure there's something to include all the combiner parts on here somehow, but have not figured that out. Anyway, yeah, it's something that the original toy could do, but it does look really, really goofy, especially considering that the back does not go down like these ramps. But yeah, so okay. Anyway, I guess we can take a look at the rest of the truck. He is my favorite of the set. He does have rear view mirrors, which is pretty cool. Big old artillery guns up here. Nice ratchets. And then, yeah, extra wide load. Okay, well, to get it into standard truck mode, you just split those apart. This doesn't stay in there all the greatest, which I particularly don't really care. It feels like a pointless accessory. Anyway, flip that up, just pivot down, and then same on this side, pivot down, and then you're just going to clip these back into place, clip all this back together, clip together, and clip together. I guess you can flip the ramp back up, although you can use it, and it makes more sense honestly to use the ramp in this configuration, but whatever. That was a thing you could do, and it's a thing that I've only done once and probably am never really going to do ever again, because this looks better in my opinion. An extra long truck meant for hauling military cargo, and he does look pretty cool. I feel like he's the most straightforward of the five, but then again, maybe it's just because I love him so much and I've actually transformed and played with him on his own more than the rest. Anyway, yeah, so let's go ahead and get this behemoth into his robot mode. First and foremost, we're going to want to take this off. Just rotate, yeah, off, and there we have just, I don't know, a military truck with an extra long bed now. No guns or anything. Oh, also one thing, he does have rubber tires, which is really nice, and he is very long, as you can see. Okay, first thing I guess we'll do, so he's not so super long, is you just untab that. Now let's just go ahead and get this untabbed. Now this is something that's a little freaky, that freaks me out just a little bit, is that they, instead of they just have pegs that slide in, and it's very tricky to get all this lined up without potentially stressing those pegs. But yeah, so you just undo that and just pivot this thing until it goes. And also this has a tendency to pop off, which is really annoying. Even with all this, he still is my favorite of the set. I think Onslaught or Brawl, when it comes to Bruticus's, Brutici, whatever, tend to be my favorite. I'm not sure exactly why. Well, maybe because Onslaught tends to be more complicated than the rest, more detailed, because he generally is bigger, because he forms the core of the robot, combined robot. And Brawl, because I've always really liked Brawl. And then flip out his feet and his toes, like that. And then let's split that apart, and let's make it to where he's not so stubby-legged. Untab that. Untab that. And I guess I might have gotten a little bit ahead of myself, but untab that real quick so we can untab this, slide down, tab into place, tab into place, tab back into place. There we are, got a leg done. Tab into place, tab into place, tab back into place, and then you just want to collapse these panels up and rotate like this so that we can get these tire things, rotate back and then back up, down, up, and back up, because now obviously it wouldn't roll. Get that rotated back here. Non-licensed Decepticon emblem. Repro labels, if you're interested. Pull this down, close back up, or if you want to have more toy accurate, I do believe this is more toy accurate, you can have this one, which I tend to like this one a little bit more because it has more detail, more things going on, and as with some of the others, it has clear plastic over that detailing, so I guess to prevent it from getting damaged and paint chipped, which I do appreciate. And then moving back up here, let's go ahead and tilt the camera upward. Going to pretty much just, well, first off, I guess untab that, tab, then just untab the whole top of this, and I guess close up the rear view mirrors, and then I guess I'm gonna have to wedge something in here to kind of twist. I feel like that little blade is not going to be enough. So let's go ahead and get the screwdriver and see if we can wedge that. And I don't want to scratch the plastic, and I also don't want to break anything. But for whatever reason, I'm doing this on camera. It's going to be difficult. But you just want to pull this up. There we are, like that. Get that pulled up, then untab, rotate back, and then just kind of get this down here pretty much for now. I do believe this tabs in at some point. Anyway, but fold that right there. Split apart up here, rotate down, untab that, rotate around, and fold to the back. And then other side, the same thing. Untab, rotate around, and fold down. Then reveal his hands, untap that, flip out, collapse in, untab, flip out, close up, and there we go. His arm's done. His back, I had it right initially, and is alright. So see these little holes right there? They tab into those pegs right in here. So just tab in. There we are. Tab in. And then I suppose just have these situate however, either like this or like this, but it doesn't look too terribly bad. And last thing to do, which can be the most problematic, is getting his head out. Alright, after just a little bit of difficulty, I managed to hook my fingernails underneath his head, the top edge of his head, just enough to yoink it up, pull it up and into place. His head is a bit loose. I've tried tightening it up in the past, but it's just pretty loose. It's not too loose, but it's loose enough to be a little wibbly wobbly, a little too wibbly wobbly. Anyway, he does come off as a little bit lanky, which I don't mind. And his forearms are a little bit bulkier than I would like, but overall, I'd say he's the best one. He's seems the most well proportioned out of all of them. and he seems to have the least amount of kibble on him too, which is really cool. And then these, I do believe, yeah, these you can also put on him in this mode. That was loud. You just take them and push onto its back. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want to break those pegs I mentioned earlier, but it does make him fairly top heavy, as that would, and make him want to fall backwards. But he does hold up pretty well, although you can have him on there in his robot mode. I personally prefer to not have him there in his robot mode. For articulation and also all this detail, I mean, you can tell he has a lot of going on. Clear plastic covering details. I don't know exactly why they do it that way, but I absolutely like it because it protects the paint behind it, but it also gives the effect that looks almost like a sticker too, which is really weird, but it's a really cool effect I've never really seen done anywhere else. Anyway, for articulation, his head is obviously on a ball joint. You can look up about that far down, about that far. Got a little bit of wobbly, do a full 360. Arms can go out that far. If you, on nice loud ratchets, rotate full 360 that way. Bicep rotation. A little less than 90-degree bend at the elbow. Wrist rotation. And same hand articulation as the rest of the Combaticons. He does have a waist swivel, no tilty pivot there. He can do the full splits. Legs can go forward that far, back that far. Thigh rotation. You can do that if you want to do sumo, although I wouldn't want to. If you don't, unless you really like having him in that trailer mode, I'd recommend not even doing this at all, so that tab does not wear out. Because I did see a review that someone else did where they said that was a problem, and that theirs, because I never had the problem with it, but then again, I never did the combined, that trailer mode thing, so I never really had a problem with this hinging when I didn't want it to. Anyway, knees, you can break his leg. Is about 90-degree bend at the knee, quite a bit of ankle tiltage, and you can move the feet a little bit too, but that is more for a transformation, as you saw. And then his gun, he can hold his gun. Hooray for holding guns. And you can also make him hold this as a shield if you take one of these, which he comes with two. I don't know why it comes with two, in case one of them breaks, but you insert that in right there. And he should be able to hold this. By saying should, I don't know if he will, but we'll see. Let's see, wrap his fingers around that. Not really. I mean, I guess he can sort of hold it, but he's supposed to be able to hold it. And there are pegs on it, so I suppose you could, let's see, there should be a way to peg onto his arm. Anyway, there was a peg or a hole right there. Also, another gripe. Like I said, I really love this figure in particular, but he did come with hole fillers, plugs, as you can see, as those are plugged. There is a couple of holes I think I plugged that weren't supposed to be plugged, but the problem is it comes with hole plugs, but it does not come with instructions on, hey, you need to plug these holes. I mean, granted, Zeta Unicron or the Cell one didn't come with instructions for the plugs, but those actually made a little bit more sense than these. Anyway, but yeah, I feel like they should have included instructions for the plugs, because I think I plugged a couple of holes that were not supposed to be plugged. Although it doesn't really affect the combined mode that much, but it was something that is supposed to, a hole that's supposed to be plugged into in combined mode, but I didn't realize that until I had already plugged it. So yeah, definitely want to be very careful about that, especially if there's no instructions on how to do it. Anyway, that's about it for the robot mode. So let's go ahead and get him into his combined mode. Okay, so I don't know if you realized, but apparently I did have him mistransformed. His tires are supposed to be up like this, not, well, not like, let's see, get back up there, not like the way I had it, like this, which I feel like this works better, as if you want to have the guns on the back and it not, you know, flop around, it needs to be pegged in like I had it, but for whatever reason, they want it like, well, like this side, which I will admit this does put it higher up, so it's less on his waist or hips, but as far as like holding together, I feel like the way I had it's better, but whatever. It's up to you, honestly, however you want to do it, but let's go ahead and get this back here, because I do believe that's where it's going to need to be anyway for combined mode. Okay, alright, so let's go ahead and remove his gun. Alright, okay, now we got him pretty much where we need him. Okay, so let's go ahead and put his legs together. Just clip that all together. You're gonna pretty much leave this the way it is down here. Flip in his feet. Put up in his feet. I don't want to rotate his hands in. Collapse that in. Rotate his hand in. Collapse. And then push his head in and hope that you can get it out the next time you need to get it out. And then let me see. And you pretty much just bring this up and around. I'm pretty sure you flip this up too. There we are. And he's really tall, even with his feet in. So flip that around and you just bring this down like this, where these right here sit over top of his chest. And then, yeah, just close that up like that. And then we want to flip these up, I guess like that. I mean, they already were, but it says to flip them up for whatever reason. Ah, yes, of course, what am I thinking? Okay, we rotate this around, then flip these up, then rotate up his legs, like so. And then this is supposed to help, I guess, well, not exactly, but you just get this all together. And if you, okay, now that we got him shorter again, really short, now we can fit him on camera better. And if you've noticed, he's starting to look like pretty much a cube, a block. And that's pretty much what we're turning him into, is a block, so that he can fit into his combiner parts. Okay, and then you kind of get his arms, or rotate up like this, because this is going to be where the combiner limbs go into, for the arms at least. And then, so I set that down. Then the arms, let's see, so flip that up, rotate down. And I'm trying to remember exactly where it was, the plug that I plugged in. Also, you want to flip these out, because this is going to be where the big old guns plug into. But this plugs into right there. It feels full focus and you can see well enough. But then this plugs in together, helping to hold this into place. There we are. And same on this side, flip that up, flip around, bring down, tab into place. And I have a feeling the hole I plugged in it, or accidentally, well, not accidentally plugged, but the hole that I plugged that turned out to be a more important hole, I do believe is one that has to do with actually putting this into the combined parts. Alright, so we got pretty much everything ready for a combination. Just need to put on his guns. So let's take those apart and plug them in. So, and then it depends on if you want them further apart, you can have them further apart, or if you want them close together, you can plug them closer together. It all depends on the aesthetic you're going for. I personally think it looks better closer together, and then also you can pivot them as well on those hinges. So pretty much doesn't really matter as long as you get them on there. So there's that. And for the part that we've all probably been waiting for, because I was thinking about doing a separate video, but why not, since he's the big boss, the big cheese. Whoa. Let's go ahead and bring in this part. And let's see. And then this is pretty much supposed to, this part right in here clips onto his crotch, or his crotch slides into it, and then this just goes up, pegs in right here, and then nope, still not the hole. Okay, I don't know, the hole is somewhere, but considering that I haven't found out exactly where it was, you can tell, I guess it's not as essential to him holding together as maybe some of the others might be, but as you can see, not that big of a deal as of yet. And then you just push his chest up. Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. And then pull this down. Okay, now I'm too high up. Okay, now I got him pivoted down. You see these 4 screw holes? Well, that is where this is going to be pegging in, although for whatever reason it is not. Okay, there we are. Just, I guess, fiddle around with it until it gets lined up perfectly, and you just press it all the way in, and now we pretty much got him secured in place in his combined configuration. And this yeah, just stays right there. And here we have Bruticon, mostly, well, the core mostly done. Now we just need to bring in his other constituent parts. But before we do that, let's just, while he's more manageable in size, take a look at that combined noggin. And I absolutely love it. This is the cartoon accurate head sculpt. And then, I do believe this one right here is the toy accurate head sculpt. The eyes are a little bit smaller, there's a different chin, and then he has springy, but that might have to do with storage when the combined stuff is put away, but those are springy. And if you notice, there's a button and a speaker because there's sound effects and lights and stuff. But I feel like I should show that off once he's combined. As you can see, this is die cast, as you could hear earlier in a different video probably. But yeah, how it's just metal that's been painted. There's his crotch, there's the side, there's the back. But as you can see, Onslaught's pretty much just the back, just a block. Pretty much just a block. And then these right here are held in place by a couple clips. These clips are held in place, although one of them does not like to stay in place. I think this is the one that tends to spring loose. But let's go ahead and put the arms on first, since that's going to be harder to show off once the legs are on. And there goes the piece to Vortex, but the piece, the tail piece thing, like I said, doesn't really matter that much for combined mode. You just slide that in and close that up, and this is the one that does not like to stay clipped. It just sits there. but as long as you don't do anything crazy, it shouldn't really matter. Then also, you can bring this down as needed to hide the joint right there. And now it actually looks pretty good. And let's go ahead and bring Blast off. Yes, I know that's not their actual names, but that's who they're supposed to be. Blah, blah, blah. I know most people don't really care. Hasbro and Takara care. And then that one, as you might have heard, actually made an audible click because this one actually likes to stay in place. And then just pivot down and that. See, that's why. Okay, that's why you definitely want to stay in place. But I haven't really tried picking it up like that by the arm. But yeah, so I guess don't pick him up by an arm if it's not going to clip into place and stay clipped in place. And as you can see, with my camera at full tilt up, okay, not full tilt up, but mostly full tilt up, without the legs even attached, he barely fits in here. So I am probably, for this next part, or at least for the overall look, I'm probably gonna have to do this handheld, as interesting as it might be. We'll see. We will see. Anyway, let's go ahead and get his legs on. Now his legs are somewhat tricky. Let's see. Let's make sure I don't accidentally put the wrong leg on the wrong side. Okay, so here we have a Brawl. And as you can see, there's these clips. And then this one, as you can see, is more elasticy, stretchy, whatever you want to call it, than the other side. And then, yes, you might want to just undo his arms real quick like this, just to reveal the place to clip it on at. And let's go ahead and do just that. So you want to do the side that's springy, because that side is going to be able to stretch a bit, so to accommodate. You just pull it over. This is really hard to do on camera, but we'll manage somehow. And then you pull and click into place. And then let's go ahead and tab the arms back into place. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about that because I don't know how I can support him like this. And let's bring in Swindle. Similar thing. Let's see. Okay, it's this side that's springy. Bring this in, stretch, and clip into place. And Swindle's easier than Brawl, because Brawl you actually have to untab his arms. And as you can see, with this tilted up, you can't even see above his crotch, really. Like, just a little bit. You can see his hands and his crotch and the upper part of his legs. And like I said in the other video, with it tilted down at normal level, you wouldn't be able to tell that the rest of Bruticus is up here. Okay, so I'll be right back with a better view. This is something that you can do with all the combiner parts, minus the hands. For whatever reason, I couldn't find a place to put the hands, but I guess it's sort of like a battle platform thingy. I mean, I think there might be a way to store all these on Onslaught. Never was able to figure it out, unfortunately, because there's nothing about it in the instructions. Although I think I might have at one point on the internet found a picture of it, but I haven't been able to find it again. Maybe I'll find it and I'll be able to show it to you guys. Anyway, but yeah, this is something you can do. Pretty straightforward. You just pretty much use what you would use to slide onto the feet, because there is a slot on the thighs, and then there's a spot for you to just plug in right here. It's a screw hole technically on the side, but hey, it's a place where you can plug that in, which is what I did. And then of course, Onslaught's vehicle mode guns are just on his vehicle mode. But yeah, it's something you can do. And yeah, die cast, if it wasn't already apparent. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for this improvised mode thing. So let's go ahead and just get everything into the combined configuration. Alright, so now I got my little pull-out drawer thingamabobber on my desk, and as you can see, he is very impressive. He stands much taller than my backdrop right here. So I would normally show off articulation as best I could, but I did show off, if you watched my previous videos, pretty much the articulation of both the arms and legs, at least pretty much from the elbows. Okay, arms, you can pretty much go out about that far. His head is not exactly on a ball joint because it is a peg that can be pulled out to swap his head. You can look up that far, down about that far, and he has no wibbly wobbly because, like I said, it is not a ball joint. He does have, let's see, okay, waist swivel, ab crunch, just a little bit of an ab crunch, nice and loud, and his legs, he can pretty much do the full splits, and Vortex is about to come loose again. But yeah, he can do pretty much the full splits if you really want to make him do the splits. And does have thigh rotation. Oh man, oh man. And he does get quite a bit bent at the knee. And I already showed off the ankle tiltage and all that of the swindle and brawl. Whew. And then people are saying we want really, really big figures. I mean, this is huge, as you can see. And I think people are wanting, I mean, granted, I wouldn't mind having it, but more as like a diorama. But the third party Fortress Maximus for the Cerebros, which is a figure that I will be reviewing at some point in the future, because I've been putting off on reviewing Hannibal, which is their Cerebros. I don't know if it's Zeta's, but it's some companies. I'll point it out when I review them. Anyway, yeah, let's go take a look at his light up eyes. I don't know if this is original audio from the show. I feel like some of it was done for the toy specifically. Like the one where he says, I am also known as Bruticus or whatever, that has the music of when it was Optimus Prime talking. So I feel like they used a little bit, made their own thing. And then yeah, that's all he really says. I mean, it's really cool considering that he's third party, and of course, that would be something that they could not actually advertise that their figure does, because they advertise that like, hey, Bruticus, instead of saying Bruticon. I mean, yeah, serious copyright issues there. I will do a quick little comparison with him and Studio Cell or Cell 1, and I'll bring him right over. And here we have Studio Cell or Cell 1 in comparison to Zeta's Bruticon, and he is very big in his own right, and he is really big. So I can see why some people were upset when they found out that he was going to be smaller than than Zeta's combiners, but honestly, I feel like is like the upper limit of what toys should really be for like combiners and stuff. As much as I do like big action figures, it gets to a point where it's just really impractical unless you're doing it as sort of like a statue in a diorama type situation. Anyway, one last thing, he does come with a gun, which I guess you can also have Onslaught hold, but he flips out, and then you can make him hold his gun, which is a little bit tricky in my experience of doing it. I think I've also in the past popped off his thumb trying to do it. Let's tilt the camera down so you can get a look at his hand while I'm doing it, but you just put, as you can see, the thumb just gets in the way, so you have to put his thumb up like this, and it just looks really weird because the thumb shouldn't be in that position when holding a gun, but he can hold it. Yeah, so that's about it for that, and that's pretty much about it for Zeta's Bruticon, and there goes Vortex again. Let's go ahead and get it. So he is far from perfect, but he is definitely assuming that you don't have any anything overtly wrong with it, or anything that's broken or that came loose. I'd say that he's definitely a really cool figure, but definitely takes up a lot of space, so space is one factor. And it also depends on if you're wanting cartoon accuracy. I will admit the updated, because this isn't the original one that they made, they did update the chest to look more like the cartoon, which I do appreciate. And but the rest of most of these guys, I'm not sure about Brawl, but I do know that Swindle and Vortex for sure are not the same exact vehicles they were in the G1 cartoon. But as far as being combined, they are an impressive bunch. They are an impressive figure for sure. Definitely very imposing, and definitely will dominate pretty much any collection that you put them in, any display. And then, oh yeah, character cards. Forgot to show off Onslaughts or Blitzkriegs, but there is Blitzkrieg. They didn't actually have to minimize that much kibble because he doesn't actually have that much. On the back, he has some pretty good stats. Strength, intelligence, he's not very bright. He's not very fast, but he is a big old cargo truck. And then of course, let's see, Bruticus, and there he is on the back. Intelligence 1. You'd think that at least some of the intelligence would carry over from his constituent parts, but I guess not. But he does have a lot of firepower and a lot of courage, a lot of armor, and a lot of strength, but very slow and very dull. Well, that's about it for the Zeta Bruticon, aka Bruticus. If you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.
Bruticus meditate to clear Bruticus's mind.